All right, we just hit 7 o'clock, so why don't we get started? This is Monday, November the 25th, and we are here for a regularly scheduled meeting of the Finance Committee. Present at the start is Councilor Greenberg from Ward 1, Councilor Malachi from Ward 3, Councilor Gentile from Ward 4, Councilor Humphrey from Ward 5. Council Grossman from Ward 7 and Council Lipoff from Ward 8. Welcome. Um, see if there's anyone else I've missed. Oh, and we also have Councilor Bixby from Ward 6. So we're just missing Councilor Mickley. All right, first item tonight
And
is,
we're being recorded, right?
yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yep.
First item tonight is 450-24. Her Honor the Mayor requesting authorization to accept and expend the sum of police department staff overtime. Chief, I assume you're here for this?
Yes, sir, I am.
Welcome, and why don't you explain it to us?
Thank you, councilors, for considering this request. We are one of 10 communities that qualify for this grant annually. We've been doing it for the last 8 or 10 years. I can't remember exactly how many, but again, we are asking to expend $123,677.35. This goes to supplement our overtime costs. Annually, we come before you folks every spring, unfortunately, and ask for more money for overtime. This is one of the ways we help lower that cost. We are suffering some staffing issues, which many departments are throughout the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. I think we're down 8 bodies now, 9 bodies. We have 3 in the academy, but as soon as those folks graduate, we have folks who retire. So we're kind of stuck in that perpetualness of understaffing. But this goes to help supplement our overtime costs annually. Thank you.
Okay, anybody have any questions of the chief? Comments? Okay, seeing none, can I get a motion to approve?
I'll move it.
Okay, Counselor. Thank you. Counselor Lipoff moves approval. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes unanimously. 452-24, Her Honor the Mayor requesting authorization to transfer and expend $7,500 from handicap parking fines, disability commissions receipts reserved for appropriations for Newton Police Department overtime pay to conduct holiday targeted enforcement of the accessible parking violations. Chief, is this you, or Jeannie, is this you? Who wants to present? Or both can.
I think it's both of us, but I can start.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so this is we've been doing this for many years. I think we skipped a couple of years during COVID. But it is a transfer to pay the overtime for targeted enforcement of the ADA and the parking violations during the holiday season. We're starting a teeny bit later this time, but we're hoping to start next week through the end of almost to the end of the new December 31st or 30th, something like that. We had the dates actual, I think, in that request, but maybe not. But yes, and this is a very typical amount of money, somewhere between 6,500 and 7,500, and it's from the fines funds it really, we try to think it's an educational effort to remind people, even when they're in a rush, even when they're holiday shopping, that they don't park in accessible parking spaces unless they have a disability placard. So that's basically what it is. And I believe Jack from the Commission on Disability might also be here.
He is.
Okay, so and it's the COD who voted upon it, and it's very successful in that sense of targeting extra folks. And we wish that it was less, but it's not. Maybe Chief can talk about that as well.
Okay,
Thanks,
thank you,
Jeannie.
Jeannie. Chief, you want to add?
Yeah, I'll just add a couple things. We do this every year, as Ginny had said, and unfortunately, people still park in the handicap spots where they're not supposed to. And again, we enforce those as best we can. And we do really emphasize education. Once we give out a ticket, we also try to engage those folks, especially the ones who are still there, in why they shouldn't park in those spots. But again, it's a ongoing issue that probably every community has. But again, this is used to pay some overtime for those educational things.
Okay, thank you. For the record, we've been joined by Council Mickley, so we have a full committee tonight. Jack Lovett, since you took the time to be here, do you have anything you want to add?
Thanks, Council. Real quick, just that this is a program that the commission takes a lot of pride in. We don't see it as punishment; we see it as educational, and we're really happy to see this program continue.
Okay. Any questions from any committee members? Council Greenberg.
Thank you. Jack, could you explain how the educational part of this program works?
From my understanding, it's not that we're doing, flyers per se, or doing an educational campaign. It's just that when they receive the ticket, this is an opportunity. We hope, and the police department does this to ensure this isn't, but you're evil. You parked in a bad spot, accessible parking spot. This is an opportunity to say, look, this is the impact that you're having on someone with a disability. This is why this is important. So that's the educational piece from our perspective.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, seeing none, can I get a motion to approve?
So
Move to approve.
Okay, I think Council Greenberg was first, so it's moved by Council Greenberg. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed, abstentions? Motion passes unanimously, and we're 8-0 right now. Next item, 453-24, Her Honor the Mayor requesting authorization to transfer and expend $600 from the same account to pay for an ASL interpreter and communication access real-time translation service for the ride, Ahead film screening. Who's going to explain this one?
I'll let Jack start and I'll finish.
Go ahead, Jack.
Sure. Well, thanks, JD. The purpose, so the COD in general this year has been trying to do more events to spread disability awareness. In July, we did a disability pride event. This event is, we're going to showcase a very powerful film. One of the toughest stages of life for someone with a disability is transitioning from childhood to adulthood. And this movie follows a gentleman and the struggles that he goes through to basically become an independent adult and not face what a lot of folks with disabilities face in adulthood: institutionalization, unemployment. So we're hoping this event will again spark discussion, will again bring disability awareness, but to be able to do this film for free, the company requires us to make the event accessible, meaning meaning having interpretive services, having an interpreter. So if we don't expend this fund, we won't be able to do the film.
Okay.
Well, I'll follow up on that part. We would have made it at least ASL. Sometimes CART is difficult to find a CART provider. So that's upon request, but ASL will be there throughout the movie. Audio description is in the movie, ASL's in the movie, and transcription. So basically it's everything, and we're sharing the cost with a nonprofit, Understanding Our Differences, which many of you know, for this, and we're hosting it at the library, and it's an in-person event. So this is probably half of what will be spent on the accessibility services of an American Sign Language interpreter for the whole evening, and hopefully, if we need the CART, if someone requests it, we will also provide that as well.
Okay. Anyone else? Any questions from committee members? I see Council Maliki.
Yeah, I had not heard of CART. Could you briefly explain what that is?
Oh, sure. So basically, when we've been very lucky with Zoom, because Zoom has pretty decent subtitles, as we say, closed caption.
Yeah.
So CART is really providing closed caption when there isn't the facility of a Zoom. So what it's a person, it's kind of like a court reporter as well, but they have a very special computer, and and it's projected on a screen in person in the library from her computer, and she types away really fast, or we try to slow our speed down, and because I talk too fast, Jack talks too fast, so we might slow down a little bit. Same thing for the ASL interpreter. So it is actually the printed word on a screen. For those who do not everyone follows ASL. Like, not everyone knows how to read in Braille. Even when they lose their hearing or lose their vision, halfway through their lives. So that's the access. Not too many people require it or request it, but we certainly wanted to have the ability to. So we've have a deadline because it takes a while to get the interpreter and the cart provider. Did I explain it okay?
Yeah, it sounds basically like surtitles on those operas, or yeah, to
Right,
look it up. Okay.
exactly. And that's what happens on the movie. The movie will have what we don't call live, but they've got it interestingly enough. I don't know if any of you've gone to I go to movies. Can't see the darn screen at all. However, I wear headphones, and the track of the movie has a beautiful description in between the dialogue. Same thing for closed caption. Instead of the caption showing for all of you at the movies, and the same thing here, there's a special device, and a person can look at the closed captions for a movie in the movie theater. This will be slightly different, but it's very similar. It's providing the captions live in person. Yeah.
Okay, it sounds like a really good program. I hope I can get to, how long a film is it?
Yeah, so it's December 12th. There'll be at 6 at the library. It'll at Druger, and it'll be about 10 minutes of intros, give or take. The movie's about an hour and a half, maybe 5 or 6 minutes past an hour and a half. And then it's followed up by not a moderated panel, but moderated questions from the audience. So for about another half an hour or so. So it's pretty much geared towards 6 to at the latest 8:30.
Yeah, I think
a
these
big
programs
evening.
you're doing are great. The concert, was it last summer or summer a year ago, was
Oh
great.
yeah, a year ago May, that concert was
Yeah.
fantastic.
Okay,
Yes.
great. Thank you very much.
Thank you for following it all.
Anyone else? I don't see any other hands. No other questions or comments. Then can I get a motion to approve, please?
I'll move it.
Okay, Council Malachi moves approval. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes unanimously. Thank you all that were here for those items. We appreciate it.
Thank you very
Um,
much.
Next, page 2, remaining 3 items. I just want to point out at the start that these items were heard in public facilities, so some of us have already taken them up. They all passed without any opposition, but let's do the finance end of it now. 416-24, Her Honor the Mayor requesting authorization to appropriate and expend $225,000 from the June 30th, 2024 certified free cash for the purpose of funding security camera and access control improvements at fire and police department locations. Okay, Josh, are you gonna do this, or is the chief? What are we doing?
It's all me.
Okay, Josh, go right ahead.
Thank you very much, Counselor. Thank you, Finance Committee. I appreciate you giving us the opportunity this evening. So yes, on this item, you'll see there's some backup in your docket. You'll find not only the letter that you're looking at on the screen, but also a breakdown of the fire station camera project, and I'll kind of talk you through this. So we are requesting $225,000 for the purpose of upgrading the security and access control systems both at fire facilities and police facilities. So with fire, we're going to be doing security cameras and access controls at stations 1, 2, 4, 7, 10, and the wires division. Stations 4, 7, and 10 already have some level of access control and cameras. Stations 1 and 2 do not. Stations 1 and 2 will get a complement of cameras similar to what we've done at our other stations. Stations 4, 7, and 10 will get improved access control and a few more cameras. These are primarily external cameras, but there are some in the common areas. Same approach that we've taken with our previous fire stations, like over at Fire Station 3. So nothing new here. We're just rounding out the stations. This is good for maintaining the general safety and security of the occupants, our men and women of the department, as well as the stations themselves. The buildings are quite expensive, but the contents, as anybody on the finance committee who's approved a fire truck lately know, the contents within are quite expensive as well. As I mentioned in public facilities, our numbers are, in this case, we have hard proposals, and then there's a small 5% contingency in each of these. So we have a really good handle on what our costs will be for the project. I know this is a high priority for the chiefs, and this is also a project that you will have found in my less than 75 small capital project list. The next item on this docket item was the upgrade of the security cameras and access control systems and associated hardware and software at police headquarters. So this is a $75,000 request, which will complement a $50,000 grant that NPD previously secured. This project is really going to focus on improving a few different things. It's going to improve the resolution and the clarity of the existing cameras. So we'll be swapping the actual cameras out for a higher megapixel unit. And then it's also going to have new access control that will coordinate with the cameras that we're installing. It's good that those two can talk to one another from a security standpoint. This is also an item that is a high priority for Chief McMains and his team. And in both of these projects, as I mentioned, at facilities, at fire, I'm working with Alex Chattis of Newton Fire, and over at police, I'm working with Matt Taccio. Again, we have hard proposals here. So we're in a pretty good shape to move forward, provided the city council supports this item. Happy to answer any and all questions that you might have.
Thank you, Councilor Grossman.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Commissioner. I definitely support doing this. My questions are really around how you're thinking about where in the city and in our public spaces we use security cameras. For example, when we were having more frequent discussions about security in the schools, I remember that we don't cover most of the school buildings in cameras, if I'm remembering that correctly. Please tell me if it's otherwise. I think my other question is around who's watching these and when, and how long is the footage remaining available? And really all these questions are geared at understanding how you're landing on what the best practice is to ensure security here. And how are we thinking about ensuring security in other public spaces in the city? Of course, kids and schools are primarily on my mind, but obviously City Hall, lots of other places that we desire security, or at least I do. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. All great questions. And although they may have seemed short and sweet, they are layered and complex. So to speak to these two particular facilities, police headquarters has their own requirements from a legal standpoint with respect to how long they maintain their video records for. The access of the footage is exclusively through the Newton Police Department. I think in some cases, and the chief certainly could speak to this, but I think in some cases they might collaborate with our law department depending on the circumstances. But that is a facility that has very strict control over who has access to that footage. At fire, that is the fire department has their own camera servers at fire headquarters that maintains all of that footage. That again is something that would be viewed by the fire department, possibly police department if there was an incident. I might be called in, but for example, I don't have access to that, but I might be called in if there was a building related issue they needed me to weigh in on. But otherwise, both of those facilities manage and maintain their own video surveillance records. So that's big picture there. Over at schools, we do have security cameras. We're putting them in all of our new schools. So Ames Reservis, Cabot, Countryside, Franklin, Horace Mann, NECP, Newton North High School. We've got cameras at other locations that have been retrofitted. So many of our schools have some level of video surveillance. I believe at this point, every single school in the district has access control, so fob operated doors. And then there's a whole host of other security measures that exist throughout the district as well. Outside of police, fire in our schools, we have a lot of municipal buildings that have cameras. Newton City Hall is one of them. The main library, several of our parks facilities, our DPW facilities, so security cameras and access control for that matter are pretty typical throughout our city.
So I really appreciate that answer, and you hit on many of the things that I asked about. One remaining question and then a comment. The remaining question is anybody actively monitoring the cameras as the day is going on, or is this really just looking retroactively should there be an incident that we have a recording of it?
Yeah.
And the comment being, it would be my preference to have cameras in all the schools and not just the new ones. And who knows how long some of these buildings are going to continue in their current state. Unfortunately, in the world we live in, I just think that it's important to have them present and ideally to have somebody watching them, although I understand we don't have the staffing for that, most likely, but I'm going to let you answer that part of it, and I'm all set.
Thank you, Counselor. So you're correct. I wouldn't say that there are no cameras that are monitored. Dispatch has a few, very select few cameras that they have available. This is police dispatch. I believe those are primarily intersections. So I don't believe they have any facilities. They might have access to the reservoir camera as well, but Chief McMains could weigh in there. But outside of that, we don't have in any of our municipal or school buildings cameras that are monitored. They are incident driven. And I certainly will pass along your strong sentiment with respect to security cameras in our existing schools to the Newton Public School Department. I would encourage you to also reach out to the school committee chair as they work on updating their capital improvement plan recommendations.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm happy to add some of that if you'd like. So we do actively monitor several of our facilities, specifically the property evidence room, where we have evidence that has to be monitored, and the cell block as well. Whenever we have people in our cell block in custody, we have full-time monitoring by our dispatch center, and the officer in charge often views that as well. The rest it's stored for 30 to 60 to 90 days, depending on what part of the property we're looking at. So.
Okay, Council Greenberg.
Thank you, Chair. Commissioner, I noticed in one of your photos, I think it was Station 10, is that a safe drop-off place for babies? Is that sign that's on the building? Do any of the fire stations have that?
Yes, as far as I know, every fire station has that.
Oh, okay. But would the cameras discourage folks from using that?
That's a good question. That's something I would have to take back. I think that it's possible, but at the same time, I think that it's important in today's day and age to have security camera coverage of specifically the front of our fire station. So it's a good point, but I think that that's something that we do need to kind of acknowledge and absorb as we improve the security of our fire stations.
Yeah, I would hate that we would have someone that would need that and then not do it because of the cameras. But I don't know how often it happens. Has it ever been used?
I would have to defer to the fire department on that. I certainly haven't heard of it in my 17 years, but that's not to say that it couldn't happen without others being made aware.
That would be interesting.
Council Greenberg, are you asking if we've ever had any bundles of joy dropped off at a fire
Yes.
station?
Yes.
Yeah, I don't remember it happening, but that doesn't mean that it didn't, but I don't remember.
Uh-huh. Okay, it's just a thought, and I just would hate to think that someone would be discouraged from using that because they saw cameras, but I guess it's a balance. We have to way safety and so, you know, and in general, I support this.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay, can we get a motion to approve from someone, please?
I'll move it.
So moved.
Okay, who was it that said it first? I missed.
Might have been me, Julia.
Okay.
I heard the discussion at public facilities, so I'm comfortable with it, all of these. Thank
All
you.
right. Motion to approve is made by Council Malachi. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Bye.
Opposed, abstentions. Okay, again, the motion passes unanimously. 411-24, Her Honor the Mayor requesting authorization to appropriate and expend 775,000 from the June 30th, 2024 certified free cash for the purpose of funding municipal building maintenance projects. And before I turn it over to the commissioner, in public facilities, we did have a discussion about the desire for the commissioner to have some flexibility on this item, meaning that, you know, there's a number of items and they have a certain dollar amount attached to them, and members of the committee were interested in making sure that the commissioner had the ability that if he saves some money on one project, that he would have the ability to spend it to support another project in case that one might have gone a little bit higher. And we did hear back. I'm not sure if everybody saw the response. So at some point, if someone could just address that, maybe it's our comptroller, but I at least wanted to let people know where that stood. Commissioner, it's all yours.
Thank you very much, Counselor, and I'll defer to the comptroller at the end of this item, but the bottom line is I don't believe we'll need any additional action from the Finance Committee to provide that financial flexibility. The comptroller has informed us that that with respect to how this money is approved and allocated, we would have that flexibility anyways. So that being said, I'm going to roll through this. Happy to take any questions along the way. In general, this is a request for $775,000 of free cash to address these 7 projects. These are budgetary numbers that we got. So each one of these, I reached out to our various contractors and got budget pricing. Part of the reason why I asked for that financial flexibility is that budget pricing is an educated estimate, but it doesn't tend to be exact. So having a little bit of flexibility as we roll through these would be beneficial. So with that, I'm going to just take you right through the document because it's got pictures of almost everything that we're working on. So over at the Albemarle Fieldhouse, for folks that are not aware, I'd be shocked if there are any that are not, but we just finished up the Gath Pool project. And that building complex is looking awesome. Parks and Rec is also at the same time beginning their work on Albemarle Fields here shortly. And we've done a lot of work between DPW, Parks and Rec, and public buildings along Albemarle as well. So what it did do by doing all that work is it made us realize how much the field house really needs some love. So what we've done, if you haven't been over there lately, is the blue metal bars have been taken down, the roof has been replaced, the masonry has been repointed, the paint has been removed. So it's starting to clean up. We did a lot of that during the pool project, but the windows still need to be replaced. Most of them are actually old plastic paneling, so you can't really see through them. The bathrooms need accessibility improvements and general condition improvements. And then inside the building, we're looking to do just some modest finish upgrades to make it a little more presentable for people who use it. It's a small building, but it's going to be our field house for our largest and most popular park in Newton, I think. Probably not going out on a limb on that one. So I think this is going to be an important one to tackle. And I know Parks and Rec is very excited about it.
Josh, before you move on, I meant to ask this the other night in PF, but you talked about before and after pictures on a number of projects. I'm hoping that this is the before picture on especially on the brick.
Yes, this is the before picture. You can see right in the front of the picture. This is during the Gaff Pool project. So this is before we had the mason come in and sandblast everything, remove the metal grates. So it's already looking better. But again, those windows need to be done. And then we've got the interior work.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. This is a small project, but an important one. This is over at 25 Chestnut Street. This is the police annex. When you first pull in between the annex and the bank property, you'll notice on the left, there's a wood retaining wall. We got our money's worth out of this one. It's due to be replaced. So we're looking forward to getting this one buttoned up. I should also mention that all of these projects fall on our less than 75 list, as well as in some cases on our capital improvement plan. So I know this is a big one for the staff over at 25 Chestnut and of course the chief's office. Crystal Lake Bathhouse. So I've worked for the city for about 17 years and I don't believe we've ever fully painted the bathhouse. This is a project that I'm looking forward to. I mentioned in public facilities that we did take advantage of the nice weather over the last few weeks. We got a jump start on some of the restoration and painting work here. And as I mentioned in public facilities, I never spend money that is not approved. So in this case, if the city council were to not approve this item, I would cover the costs out of my annual budget. But Mother Nature was just being too kind to us. So I wanted to get in there and get started. You can see in this image that this is a stucco building. So you can see that a lot of the stucco has started to come off. There's a lot of kind of mildew that we needed to remove, and then the whole building really needed to be painted. This is just one part of the larger project. We're going to have not only the envelope restoration, but we have some accessibility improvements. And then as I started to zoom in public facilities, and I can do the same here, you can see that around the building, there are some areas that require a little more restoration than others. So you can see in this image. So we talked about this in public facilities that at some point there will either be a fully renovated or new bathhouse, but that's still quite a ways out. Buildings like this should be painted every 8 to 10 years. So even with this investment, it makes a lot of sense. Jackson Homestead. So this is another one where, although it has been painted since I started with the city, it's been quite a while. I think we're coming up on 10 years, which is about as long as you want to go with a building like this. So we are looking forward to painting this one. I said this is going to be very similar to the project we did over at the Newton Corner Branch Library. Those are some great before and after pictures. So this is going to be another fun project to get buttoned up. I know there's a lot of people that hold the Jackson Homestead property near and dear. So this is going to be one that we're very excited about. I know Lisa Dady and her team are very happy to see this project coming down the line. The Kennard Estate. So this is the Parks and Rec headquarters up off of Dudley Road. This building is one that this hasn't been painted. I think we're coming up in over 12 years now, possibly as many as 15. As you can see in the picture, this is a stucco side. This needs to be painted. The red wood shingles need to be painted as well. This is going to be one that the before and after picture is going to be quite remarkable. Paint and preservation is not just lipstick, for lack of a better word. It is important in maintaining the integrity of the building to get these buildings painted once in a while. We did mention in public facilities, Councilor Albright was right to point out that there are many other needs at this facility. And I responded that, paint is not something that the Community Preservation Committee looks to support because it is maintenance, but there are many other projects there that could very well be a solid CPA proposal in the not too distant future. Not quite as exciting, but quite important. The main library, So this project is going to be, we're going to replace the transfer switches. The way I described this to the Public Facilities Committee is that the emergency generator comes on when we need power, i.e. when we lose street power. The transfer switches are what make it automatically transfer over to that emergency generator so that it can power the building. In this case, the transfer switches are beyond useful life and they're starting to fail, which means that what we need to do is my electricians have to get over to the library anytime there's a loss of power to manually transfer to the emergency generator. So these funds would allow us to replace the 3 transfer switches for the main library, and then it will automatically transfer power whenever there's a loss. And last but not least, certainly not least, fire stations 1 and 2. So these are our last 2 stations that have not received either a complete rebuild or major renovation. And we've been tackling projects there over the last 4 or 5 years now. Between window replacements, HVAC upgrades, really, targeting those kind of critical infrastructure elements to the 2 stations. This one is one where it's going to make a remarkable impact on the day-to-day lives of the men and women of the department. For anybody that knows firefighters, they know that the kitchen is where they congregate. It is the heart and soul of any firehouse. And as such, both of these stations, their kitchens are tired. They need a little love. So we're really looking forward to working with Chief Gentile and Bianchi and the station captains and the rest of the department to improve the conditions in both of these kitchens. And it's going to be a variety of different improvements there between flooring, ceiling, lighting, cabinets, counters, appliances, furnishings, and just a general sprucing up, if you will. So that is all of those projects. Steve Curley, if you're on, you want to take a moment and explain to the Finance Committee the financial flexibility that will exist already with this item?
Thanks, Josh. So this item, like some others, it's more of a general, building maintenance projects. And then as you proposed, you have the scope of the items that are going to fall under this project. And so whether it's internal work, you paying overtime, or external work, you paying vendors, there's flexibility in that legal level of control. There's also flexibility project-wise, as long as the projects that you are doing are under the scope of the proposed item. So that's just in a nutshell.
Okay. Thank you. Council Grossman.
Thank you. First, I was wondering if I could get a little look at that sweet baby that you're
too.
holding.
He's sleeping.
Now
so
I'm feeling
maybe-
jealous. Mine's 2.5.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, well, I could just sit here and coo with the baby for the rest of the night, but I will make my comment instead. Commissioner, thank you. These projects are great. They are so needed. I'll make a motion to approve. I just wanted to say, keep them coming. It's always really bothered me that in a city as wonderful and fortunate and blessed as we are, that so many of these small public, some of these buildings are not small public buildings, but I'm thinking about the field house, for example. Even some of the school buildings, what a difference a fresh coat of paint makes in how it feels, how it looks, how it's experienced. And it probably is on your 75,000 and below project list. I haven't looked at it in a while, but if I could make a plug for the field house at Bigelow, I happened to be there this summer. There's a really wonderful preschool program that is run out of there. And I think on the Cabot Field House, these kids continue on, and maybe more of these programs exist in other field houses in the city. But it just really, going in there, struck me that some new windows, some paint would really go a long way in making a much warmer and vibrant environment for the kids and all the various programs that do run in these buildings. So I'm really appreciative of everything you do all the time, but I'm so appreciative that you don't let these what feel like details pass you by. And the fact that you were so proactive to recognize that the weather was good and you could get a jump start and make progress sooner, I just think is awesome. So thank you. And I'd love to move approval, Mr. Chair.
Okay, so we have a motion. Councilor Bixby is next.
Thank you, Chair. I'll echo Councillor Grossman's comments and gratitude for tackling these projects, and then possibly add on a few annoying questions. Bear with me, please. So in the Albemarle field house, and I spent a lot of time over there, but I don't have a full map in my head. The bathrooms are separate than the Gath Pool bathrooms.
They are.
They are. So what is open when to the public?
So I'm glad you asked that. That's actually something that I'm working with Commissioner Banks on. Right now, my understanding is that those restrooms are only open to the public for specific events. And part of what we're going to be looking at is how we can try to make those restrooms open and available seasonally so that they're available to the community. But quite frankly, right now, I'm not sure they're in a condition that I would want to invite people in. They need some love. Councillor Grossman just talked about paint. They desperately need some paint in there, among other things. Nothing too major, but cosmetically, we got our money's worth.
Great, thank you. I would love to see bathrooms, especially ones with plumbing and stuff, open more at our fields in particular, and playgrounds and spaces that people use. So investing in making them things that can be open to the public, and then opening them to the public more is a really great thing to do. And I've seen you can work some magic with paint at some of the school bathrooms you've done recently. So thanks. On the bathhouse, Crystal Lake Bathhouse, we had another one in Ward 6, the hut, have some sort of outdoor, outside renovations happen. And I was wondering, I mean, you did say at some point we hope to do more on the inside of the bathhouse, but the bathhouse inside needs significant help. And I mean, I guess maybe it's more of a comment than a question, but I want to make sure that we don't only do the outside there. And if there is any timeline for any interior improvements or renovations.
Yeah, so part of the reason why I wrote the language the way I did, it's a little broad over there because I want to be able to get inside if I can with the money that I can.
Okay.
Obviously, and former Councillor Crosley used to talk about this all the time, and it makes sense for anybody that owns a home. You stabilize the envelope before you make investments inside. So we've got a little bit of envelope work that we need to stabilize at the bathhouse, and then then it's good money that you're spending inside the building. So I do see opportunities to improve the inside as well, between lighting, the ceiling tiles, paint, not terribly expensive things. There's a lot of low-hanging fruit there.
Okay. Great, thank you. Yes, I mean, any love the building can get is good, but anything we can do inside is great. And this is more of a structural question, and then I'm done. So these buildings do need regular painting. Is it always kind of done with these funds that come along, or how do you balance that need for you just mentioned for a few of them, sort of they're overdue, and how do we make sure that doesn't then cause bigger structural problems, I guess is the basis of the question. Thank you.
Yeah, so great question. I think what it really comes down to is the city of Newton has a lot of infrastructure per capita. We have a lot of school and municipal buildings, a lot more than our peer communities. And a lot of that has to do with our village structure. It's what makes Newton great, also makes Newton expensive to maintain. Because there are so many facilities, and with the thanks of Mayor Fuller, we've been able to build up our less than 75 line item in my budget, and that has allowed us to tackle a lot of these smaller buildings. But because there are so many of them, we tend to complement my budget with whether it be salary savings in my budget that we then work with the CFO and the mayor and the city council to roll into these small projects, or occasionally with free cash or other one-time money where we can kind of do some surge spending to address more of these small buildings. So I think, between those two funding mechanisms, we're making headway.
That's great. Thanks. And very interesting point on the amount of infrastructure. Thanks for everything you're doing.
Thank you.
Okay, Council Maliki.
Thanks.
Councilor
Yeah,
Nicolay.
and thank you, Josh. It's like you're 2 or 3 people, the number of things you can keep keep track of at the same time. I just had some quick follow-up questions on the Councilor Bixby asked one of my questions related to the restroom hours at the Albemarle Fieldhouse, because that was a topic at Programs and Services the other night. And so would the idea to be aiming for having the restrooms available kind of when, like basically when the lights are on, daylight hours, because obviously you don't want people like camping, sleeping in them overnight or anything like that. So they'd be like locked and so forth when the lights go off. Is that how it would work?
Yeah, exactly. So it's a great question. We're still working with Commissioner Banks, and I'm sure she'll want to involve the commission to some extent. What I do know is that we're not going to your point, we're not going to want the restrooms open at night. So we're also trying to make sure that we're not creating a significant operating expense by having to have, staff there throughout the day and then at night. So what we might be looking at is smart hardware, door hardware that automatically locks at night. Not locked if you're inside, you can get out, but if you're outside, you can't get back in. Types of, something like that might be an option that we use. But that is the intent with this project, is to introduce community access to those restrooms.
Okay. And on Crystal Lake Bathhouse, as I said at Programs and Services the other night, I think it's more than just a place to go to the bathroom and change. It could be a great facility if we ever get to fix the inside, or, as you said, replace it. But even just fixing the inside would be a great improvement, I think. And on the fire stations with the kitchens, with those, it's two stations kitchen improvements. Does that bring all the fire stations kitchens up to kind of good standard for the foreseeable future?
Yes, I would say kitchens wise, yes. Stations 1 and 2 certainly have a lot of other capital needs that we'll continue to work on, but the kitchens, yes, they'll be in good shape.
Okay, great. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Councilor Mickley.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, I guess Steve Curley opened the floodgates to the kids, so bring mine along too. It's actually her birthday today, so her birthday present is she gets to join the Finance Committee meeting.
Happy birthday.
Yeah, it's Lily. She turned 6 today. But yeah, just a quick comment. Just want to echo what Councilor Bixby and Councilor Maliki said about the bathhouse. Really would just want that to be a high priority in terms of full renovation on the interior, both the bathrooms and potential alternative space use that it could be used for that space. I think it's a real opportunity. Just want to see that.
Thank you, Councilor. I picked up on all that.
Thank you.
All set, David?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay. I don't see any other hands. So we already got a motion from Councilor Grossman. Anybody want to add anything else? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Okay, motion passes unanimously. Last item of the evening is docket item 410-24. Her Honor the Mayor requesting authorization to appropriate and expend $700,000 from June 30th, 2024 certified free cash for the purpose of funding several high-priority Newton Public School capital projects at Newton North High School. Josh?
Thank you, Councilor Gentile. So this item, the committee will notice that there's some backup, quite technical backup, but backup that was provided. But I'll talk you right through it. We have 2 items at Newton North High School. So the City Council previously authorized $425,000 for the purpose of replacing the pool air handling unit. The original intent was to replace the unit in kind in the same location. Through the design process, working with our mechanical engineer and Newton Public Schools, it became apparent that while more expensive, it is more advantageous to install a new air handling unit on the roof as opposed to within the interior mechanical room. This approach will nearly double the life expectancy of the new air handling unit and all future units. So for the finance committee, I think it's important to consider that the life cycle of the building is 100 years. The life cycle of this equipment, if we put it on the roof, is 20 to 25 years. If it's within the building, it's about 15 years. So when you look at it from a long-term life cycle cost standpoint, once we put the unit on the roof, we spend this extra money now, but we never have to spend that again, and we replace the unit far less frequently. So over the life of the larger asset, being the building, the City of Newton will save a significant amount of money. But nonetheless, it is more than what the City Council previously authorized. So I brought this before Public Facilities, and I'm here tonight before Finance, requesting $317,000, $317,490 to fully fund that project. The exact amount is because we have a hard proposal for the replacement. So this is for that exact cost plus 5% contingency. And then the second portion of this item is a request for $382,510. This is a very specific number because this is also a hard bid that we had on it, plus 5% contingency. So this is to replace the hot water heaters on the roof of Newton North High School. Seems like an awful lot of money, but that's because it's a 410,000 square foot building. So our hot water heaters are large and numerous. Happy to answer any and all questions that the committee may have.
Okay. Any questions? Josh, can you take that letter down just so I can make sure, see if I, okay. All right, I don't see any questions. I know we discussed this at length in Public Facilities, so if there are no questions, can I get a motion to approve, please?
I'll move it.
Okay, Council Maliki moves approval. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Abstentions? Okay, the motion passes unanimously. Okay, that is the last item that we have for tonight. I just want to wish everybody a fantastic holiday week. My newlywed daughter is in town from out of state, so I'm pretty psyched, as I'm sure you guys are with all different things. Enjoy. If anybody does, unless somebody has something else, enjoy the rest of your evening and enjoy the holiday. All right. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Two.
Thank you.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Bye, everybody.
Bye. Bye to the kids.
Happy birthday, Lily.